Hey guys, it's your girl Keri, and this past Sunday I had the pleasure of hosting 10 guests in an impromptu dinner in my home, and I thought I would share some of the tips and tricks that I put together when I'm trying to pull an event together on a moment's notice. Now, it was about a week or so ago that I was sharing my ideas. I was just brainstorming how I was going to set up my table for Thanksgiving and the upcoming fall season. Well, I had to put that in, motion and in action really quickly because I was having this dinner. Now, what I didn't want to do was just take all the stuff off the table, throw it back in the bins and boxes and things like that and put it away. I wanted to challenge myself from 7 a.m. that Sunday morning until 4:30 p.m. when guests arrived to be able to clear everything off that table and actually incorporate it in decor in my home and actually set a table using what I already had. It was quite a challenge because what you guys didn't see was all of the mess that was, in the hallway and on the floor from the bins that I pulled down to do, my fall decorating. So at 7 o'clock that morning, I had to come down, decorate. I made my fall wreath that I shared with you, my ideas on that. I decorated the foyer, I decorated the family room, and in addition to trying to decorate and get all of those items you saw on the table off the table, I had to design a tablescape, grocery shop, plan a menu, and clean up. And that was the most challenging part because the main level of my home is mostly clean. So if someone came over, they were like, oh, okay, house looks nice. But there were folks coming over that had never been to my home before, and they were excited about getting a home tour. And that is where the trouble came in because upstairs was a disaster and downstairs in the basement was a disaster as well. Because you guys know, a couple of weeks ago our house had got hit by lightning and we had electrical issues in the basement, so our home gym was affected, and then my craft room, you guys know that's underway. I'm still trying to get storage solutions built out in there, so that was a mess. And the pool table room is where all of the craft items were stored while the craft room is being put together. So the pool table room was a mess, and the boom boom room was a mess. So we spent about 5 hours at 7 o'clock in the morning till about 1 o'clock cleaning the house, and then the other half was spent decorating and putting our meals together. So let me stop yapping, and I'm going to show you the tablescape that I actually came up with for the dining room. And again, it's not that creative at all. It was very impromptu. And then in the future, from my eat-in kitchen area, I'm going to get a little bit more creative so you guys will get the Veri Keri that you're used to when I'm setting my tables. But I do think this tablescape came out beautiful, but it's just simply beautiful. So tip number one, and this is going to be a tip that's going to run throughout the entire video. And the number one tip is to keep things simple. And I mean simple in every aspect of your entertaining. You want to keep the decor simple, you want to keep the menu simple, and you want to keep the entertainment simple. And this is not the time to go and try a new recipe or anything like that. You want to make items that you've made over and over that you know are delicious and that people will like, and it will be a hit. So here is an overview of the tablescape for our Sunday dinner. And let me start with how I put things together. Now, when I was doing my fall haul, I didn't realize that I only had 4 pumpkin plates. Now, I only purchased 4 because I used these pumpkin plates in last year's Thanksgiving setup, but I only did it in my eat-in kitchen, and my eat-in kitchen seats 4. So I had to come up really quick and do some mixing and matching. What I ended up doing was taking these Dollar Tree plates with a little beaded embellishment on them, and I just set every other plate with a white plate. Now, what unified this table was the fact that all of the placemats and the chargers were the same. I just interchanged the plates. Now, I did not have enough of the chargers like this, so what I did was I set a different setting at the head table. So at the head table, I did have the same placemat, and I had these distressed blue chargers. I got these from Hobby Lobby several years ago, and it's okay to have a different head table place setting. That's what makes everything a little bit more interesting. So I will come up with my second tip is to make sure when you're buying items, buying things, don't just randomly buy things just simply because you like them. Think about what you already have and how things will coordinate and play off each other. So for example, if you look at everything here on this table, no, everything is not the same color, no, everything is not the same texture, but all of the colors complement each other and they all coordinate. And nothing was purchased together. A lot of these items were purchased years apart. You guys know that I usually take $25 to $50 for every event and build on what I have. So when I look at this plate and I look at that runner, all the colors work in harmony even though they're all different pieces. So in order to pick up some of that blue from the pumpkins in that plate and carry it on over to this all white setting with the exception of the natural placemat, I pulled out some blue napkins, and then in order to add some of that fall festive feel into that napkin, I pulled out these deer antler napkin rings. And as you can see, the napkin rings are kind of like an antique type silver, so that led me to choose the silverware here that is also antique silver. And then also I carry that theme into my turkey platter and dome. That's also an antique silver type of look as well. So that's how everything there coordinates. So when I'm looking at what I have, I think about all the other key pieces that can play along to make this entire tablescape flow. So here's a quick tip. You don't have to have all types of seasonal items like this pumpkin plate and things like that in order to create a fall environment in your home. I know that, you know, some of you are just starting out. You don't even have your regular furniture or your regular dishware sets complete, let alone trying to get specialty items for a particular season. So I'm going to give a couple of tips on how you can incorporate the seasons into your home, even when you're trying to still build your regular everyday furniture items or entertaining collections. So tip number one are for those of you that already have your basic pieces together and you just want to incorporate a little hint of that season. You can do kind of like what I did. You can do kind of like what I did. I only have 4 of these pumpkin plates, but I have 8 place settings. You don't need a pumpkin plate in every single place setting in order to say fall. I have 4 of these, so the 4 places as place settings as I interchange each one will invite that fall feeling. The other ones can be your everyday dishes as long as they coordinate. And as you can see, this pumpkin plate has tones of creams and whites and blues and things like that, and it matches all of the hues that are in my dining room already, so I can just put my everyday dishes with this specialty plate without breaking the bank. Now my second tip are for those that are just starting out and they don't have the funds or they do not want to start building on seasonal entertaining items until they get their basic sets all together. So in that case, what you would do was get your basic pieces. Let's just say this was your basic place setting. You just had these white plates. You had 8 of them. I would say purchase, you know, some napkins or some napkin rings. Like in this case, I have the deer antler napkin rings, and if you just put a deer antler napkin ring, or if you don't even want to spend money on napkin rings, you can go outside and grab a pine cone, grab some leaves, grab just some, you know, nature from outside that screams that particular season, and in this case fall, and just take some twine, a leaf, or a pine cone and wrap it around your napkin, and you have, you know, a DIY napkin ring, and that just brings the element of fall from the outside to the inside, and your tablescape will be as equally beautiful as if you had the pumpkin plates. Now the next thing I incorporated into my tablescape were these deer stemless wine glasses. Now you don't have to have deer stemless wine glasses, but I do share in my tablescaping 101 that you should have a basic plain stemless wine glass because these are workhorses. So I pulled these out, and these were a gift from my girl Melanie, and I got those a couple of years ago from her. And then in the back here, I've had these little pumpkin pumpkin bowls for a while. I pulled these out, and we actually use these for appetizers. I have one there and another one at the end of the table. Actually, these weren't on the table, they were on a platter, and I just made a homemade spinach dip, and then in the other one I put in some store-bought dip. And that brings me to my next tip. Everything does not have to be homemade. You can get some store-bought items to add as appetizers or into your main dishes. The only thing you want to do is make sure that they are tested and tried and you all love them as a family. You don't want to go start trying all kinds of new dips and have never tasted them before. One of our go-to appetizer dips is this, it's called palmetto cheese, and it's the Pawleys Island brand. I don't know if they sell this in, I'm going to try to hold it up close so you can see it. I don't know if they sell this in regular stores. I always pick it up from Costco, but check your grocery store, see if they have this dip. If you have a membership at Costco, you have to try this. So easy. All you do is scoop it out, put it in a bowl, line your tray up with some bagel chips or pita chips, and then add a side where you just have some vegetables, where you can do either some cut up or julienne red peppers, carrots, celery, anything like that. And that'll be great because some people may have gluten allergies and things like that, or some people are on keto, some people don't want carbs. It'll be easy to give a mix of both for both guests. They can choose vegetables. Vegetables are gluten-free, nearly no carbs in them. That's a perfect option. So try this stuff out. So I'm moving right along on my tablescape. I needed to have a centerpiece, but I really did not, have time to truly make a centerpiece. So what I did was take those flowers that you saw in my haul, I just clipped them down, and I just grabbed a silver bowl. Didn't even have time to shine it up. I said, you know what? I'm just going to roll with the whole antique look for this event. And I just plopped the flowers into a bowl. These are just faux flowers. They didn't have any the colors that I needed in my grocery store for the live flowers, so I'm fine with the faux flowers. And as you can see underneath my dish is gravy stains. Yep, I didn't get a chance to pull everything up to wash it and launder it, but if you want to know how to clean out like wine stains, gravy stains, and all that stuff after an event, I do have a video where I did last year's Thanksgiving. I showed you how to get out all different types of stains, and I'll leave the link to that below. But as of right now, I'm going to just stick this right back on top so you guys would be none the wiser. Then in the center, all I did was just plop my turkey platter down in the center. Now, right now, just for purposes of this video, I just stuck in some sprigs of greenery, faux greenery. But what I would do, because again, I told you my dome did not come with this particular platter. I found this dome separately, and it doesn't completely fit. So when I'm actually using it, I would fill it in with different like parsley or lettuce and different vegetables and things like that to fill out and round out the platter and make it look beautiful. And then on the inside you would have your roast, your turkey, or whatever it is you're serving. Now for this particular event, I did not have any turkey or anything underneath this platter. It was purely there for decoration. Now the next thing on my table are my gravy boats, and I absolutely love these things. I have one at either end of the table. so that you wouldn't have to pass it around. You know, this half of the table could use that gravy boat. This half of the table would use this one. And what I love about this gravy boat is that it has a warmer base. You just light that tea light candle and it keeps the gravy warm the entire time that you're entertaining. And I've shared these many years ago, and every single year when I pull them out for the holidays, I suggest or recommend that you get one. If you already have one, this would make a perfect hostess gift, or this would make a perfect gift for anyone. Love these gravy boats. And I will try to find a link and see if I can link those down below in the description box for you guys. And this was just the basic setup. That was everything that's on my table. I didn't whip out any of my fancy tools or anything like that. So this is something that the everyday person should have in their home, and they should be able to do this on a moment's notice. Everything doesn't have to match. Just think about when you're going out to buy things, always build on the color palette that is in your home so everything can mix and match. Don't start one year, oh, I'm feeling all of these jewel tones, and then next year, oh, I'm really feeling the traditional, you know, oranges and browns, and then the next year you're feeling black and white buffalo check and things like that. Then nothing will ever really coordinate. You can never really completely build out an interchangeable set. You know what this is kind of like? This is kind of like a capsule wardrobe for your table, where you're just building pieces that can mix and match. So let's move right along to the next point, and that will be our menu and how to keep your food warm if you don't have all of the fancy tools like chafing dishes and some of the other items that I pull out and put on my tables to keep dishes warm. So this is what the buffet looked like prior to the guests coming over. It's pretty empty because I was, you know, in the midst of getting ready to decorate. And this is where we actually set up our food. So I'm going to walk you through how we did our buffet and kept our food hot. So the first thing I did was take my big giant champagne bucket and I put it underneath the buffet. Now the next thing I did was place a runner down the buffet so that it could protect the surface. You don't want to mess up the wood. And yes, that's gravy and all sorts of good stuff. We have to clean that up. I'm just going to recreate everything for you guys. So you don't want to mess up your, you know, your furniture. So after you lay out your runner, and look at this beautiful fall runner. It has like embroidered leaves and things on it. My mom got me that, and I'm so thankful for her. Now here's the key, so listen closely. If you don't have chafing dishes and things like that, and you want to keep your food hot for your guest, you want to make sure that you invest in some pieces that are both oven safe. It can be dishwasher safe unless you don't mind washing things by hand, but you definitely want them to be oven safe. And as you're making your items on the stove, so for example, our menu consisted of green beans, sour cream mashed potatoes with the skins on, and a pot roast. Now that's very simple. And then we had some bread. We had a a basket of warm rolls. That's as simple as you can get, but it was all very flavorful and delicious. So what you want to do is, after you make your, in this case, green beans, I made some green beans that were that had smoked turkey neck bone in it, a little bit of garlic and some seasonings, and you just slow simmered them. They were delicious. I take them out of the big pot on the stove and I place them in my bowl. I cover my bowl and then I put my oven on 175 degrees. Then I just take my hot green beans straight away from the stove in my oven safe bowl and just put my bowl in the oven. And that keeps the green beans warm until I'm ready to serve them. Same thing with the mashed potatoes. After I finish cooking them on the stove, I then transfer everything to the bowl that I'm going to be serving in, cover it with some aluminum foil, stick that in the oven along with my green beans. Then over here, these are the trays that we had for our roast. Now we cooked our roast in the crock pot really slow. It came out really tender, really juicy, really good, and we didn't have to take up oven space. And that was great because we want to put all of our items in the oven to keep them warm and use it like a warmer. So after the roast was done in the crock pot, we sliced it down really pretty and made our nice presentation on the trays. Those were nice and sliced, and you want to make sure you take some of that juice out of the crock pot and pour it over the, the sliced roast so you can keep it nice and moist and juicy while you put it in the oven. So what we did was after we sliced it, plated it, and presented it, we covered it with aluminum foil, poured a little juice on there, and sat that in the oven as well. So, and then same thing for our bread. I didn't bring out a bread basket, but I had another ceramic oven safe vessel. And now all of our food is in the oven heating up, just staying warm, staying heated. So when guests arrive, they come in and they start on the appetizers. They're eating their spinach dip, they're eating the pimento cheese dip, they have the samosas and all sorts of appetizers. While everyone's having appetizers, our food is still being warmed up in the oven. Then when you call time for dinner to be served, all you have to do is walk over to the oven, pull out each dish, pull off the aluminum foil, and just sit everything on your buffet. Everything's nice and hot. Everybody's ready to get into the buffet line and serve themselves, and it's just easy peasy. So that's what you would do, and then you don't have to worry about timing. Oh my gosh, is this hot? Is that hot? What time do I take this out? What time do I put that in? Everything is warming together, and everything's already beautifully presented because everything's in the proper vessels while it's warming, and you can go ahead and wash all of your dishes. Your kitchen is clean before guests even arrive, and you're just ready to entertain. Now you can, if time permits, and also especially if people have different types of allergies, whether it be nut allergies or things like that, is put little labels out for your food. Label your food. Have these cute little antique silver pewter leaves, and you just stick the label, the food label, down there in the back, and you'll have a food label. And these can also double as place cards. And the final piece was my bar cart. And so what I did for the bar cart, I just grabbed a candlestick and I put on one of those candle wreaths around the top of the candlestick, stuck a candle in there. Then I took my ceramic cable knit sweater, pumpkins, popped those onto the bar cart, and then I took my cute little ceramic sweater mugs and put those there. And then I took another glass candle and stacked some plates on top of that, and that was for our dessert for the evening. So we had cakes and pies and things like that, and then the sweater mugs were for anyone that wanted milk, tea, or anything like that. And that's pretty much it. Now if you're a beginner, some of you might say, okay, Veri, Keri, I got all your tips, but I don't have a buffet. I don't have an island in my kitchen. I don't have all of these types of things in order to serve my food on. What do I do in those? What do I do in that instance? I got you covered on that as well. What I'd like you to do is just leave a comment below. Drop a comment below on some of your entertaining dilemmas and what you would like to know. And then maybe I can put together a Q&A to answer those questions on, and I can put together a Q&A and answer those questions that come up repeatedly in the comments so that I can make sure that you're completely covered when it's time for you to entertain. And don't forget, I also have a Hostess in Training Holiday Bootcamp course. I'll leave the link to that below. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to take away some tips and ideas that will help you in your future entertaining, whether it be for the holidays or whether it just be, someone coming over to watch the football game or something like that. And I will be continuing to do some more tablescapes throughout the fall season. In future videos, I will be sharing with you the home tour of my fall decor that I came up with on that day. I'll be sharing the foyer and the family room. And drop a comment below and let me know, what did you learn from this video, if anything. And until next time, I'm going to keep calm and carry on. Bye guys.